At Pinnacle Wraps, we proudly offer top-tier liveries that showcase your unique style on the racetrack. Elevate your iRacing experience today with a stunning custom design that truly represents who you are and your passion for racing.
Live from the World Center of Racing, welcome race fans one and all back to Green Flag TV, where we are set to duke it out for yet another brand new season here on Green Flag TV. NASCAR and Daytona, name a better combination. It's the home of the Daytona 500. It is the Daytona International Speedway in round one of the Zero Torque Racing League Cup Series. My name is Ola Remble alongside Lucas Moody. We're bringing you all of racing action from start to finish here on this fantastic Friday night. Lucas, this championship set to kick off with a wild one here at Daytona. 100 laps, 250 miles at high speeds, 200 plus miles an hour around this absolutely phenomenal racetrack. And, well, again, it's Daytona. What better place to start off a new season?
Yeah, you said it perfectly. I absolutely love Daytona, and the fact that it is the season opener means that anybody in this field could start the season in the playoffs, no matter your pace, no matter how quick you think you are. Daytona is a place where anything can happen, and anybody can enter themselves into the playoffs right from the get-go of the season.
Of course, you got two different drivers, two different stages here on offer for us here this afternoon, right? You got two breaks. Those breaks come in at laps 25 and lap 55 over the course of the afternoon. From there, one playoff point will be awarded to both drivers that win those stages, possibly to the same driver. One driver happens to win both stages. Then, of course, 5 playoff points to whoever wins this race at the end of the night. And the winner will, of course, lock themselves into round number 1 of the playoffs coming on up here in a few months' time. But let's take a look at the schedule coming into this season, shall we? Because it's a bit of a wild one. We kick off tonight at the Daytona International Speedway, followed by Dover Motor Speedway. Then it's Michigan, Darlington, Atlanta for the first 5 races, followed by Richmond, Indianapolis, Kansas, Bristol, a 300-mile marathon at the Charlotte Motor Speedway, followed by Watkins Glen, and of all places to wrap up the regular series season in race 12, Talladega Super Speedway, the wild card of wild cards. The round of 16 sees go to Iowa, Nashville, and Pocono. The round of 12 back to Daytona, then to Texas and the Roval. The round of 8 to Vegas Auto Club, then to the Paperclip at Martinsville. And the final 4 will be determined on March 13th at Homestead Miami Speedway in a 160-lap grudge match. Quite an action-packed season. Lucas, you and I were talking during the Clash about how excited we were for this schedule, and you in particular, right, you were mentioning that a lot of tracks on here that are on your favorites list. Which ones are you looking out for here in the first month of racing?
Of course, my favorite 3 tracks to drive in this next-gen car in order is Darlington, Pocono, and Bristol. So the fact that this series goes to not 1, not 2, but all 3 of those tracks makes me very, very excited, especially for Darlington coming up in just 3 weeks' time. That track is absolutely amazing. It's absolutely wonderful, and I cannot wait for that. And it's another one of our crown jewel races like tonight is as well. And tonight is just going to be absolutely amazing. And we haven't even talked about that fuel load yet. So in this league around this track, these cars will be restricted to 60% of the maximum fuel load. Nolan and I have estimated that to be about 17 laps a stint. So even though the first stage is only 25 laps, we can still expect some green flag pit stops.
Take a look at some of the cars that are currently out here and qualifying around the Daytona International Speedway. There was Jason Steptoe making his way down to the start-finish line here this afternoon. Of course, the big contender coming into this one going to be this number 1 car, Akari King Wright, with the championship coming out of season number 1, and the Starbucks Iced Energy number 1 looking to make a statement here this afternoon as he comes around through turn numbers 3 and 4.
Yeah, and you see, as qualifying, you just want to really hold that yellow line. You want to drift up the slightest bit, very, very slowly, drift up the slightest bit coming out of the corners. And I'm surprised that Akari King Wright didn't take the apron there, finishing his lap. That is usually a strat used against used among drivers to essentially cut that last little bit cut the tri-oval right before the checkered line. So maybe, Akari King Wright was doing testing, found that it was slower, or it could just be banned for this qualifying format, as I know a lot of leagues, they don't like any drivers to go under the yellow line at any times for no reason. Now on board with that 50 of Jason Steptoe, we'll see where that lap puts him in a couple of seconds here.
It's going to be all the way down the field, and we'll see exactly where, as we got over 30 cars getting set to rumble out here this afternoon, as the field here getting set to rumble out for 100 laps here at the Daytona International Speedway. Starting things off, it is Stephen Blevins. Blevins is alongside Terrence Murphy down in the number 2 spot in his barbecue flavored potato chips number 5. Row number 2 on the grid, Willie Smith with the Kaiju number 75. He starts in 3rd alongside the Budweiser number 3 of Kevin Haas for Draft Nights Racing. Row 3 on the grid, it's Douglas Ivan for Ivan Racing Incorporated. He starts alongside Jonathan Dominics for the Keystone Motorsports Group. All the way back in 4th, and it's Joshua Siegfried. He runs alongside Robert Tester in number 8. Rounded up the top 10 this afternoon, it is defending champion Akari King Wright for Sky Motorsports alongside Blake Hullett for Garage Mahal Motorsports.
And then starting your Daytona 250 in 11th position, it'll be Wayne Graves. And that 07 machine alongside him is the Reese's Pieces 28 of Brian Matthews. And then in 13th is going to be that 32 Red Bull machine of Danny Jackson alongside the 707 of Chris Gaxel. And starting in 15th position will be Ethan Farless, lining up alongside Dean Howard. And then just right behind them in 17th is that Scott's 54 machine of James Dunning and the Bonanza 12 machine of Jamin Bernhardt. And then to wrap up your top 20, it is Austin Norris in that 57 and Dave Shively in the 85.
14 cars to go in the grid. TJ Ivan for Ivy Racing Incorporated brings up in 21st with the AC Delco number 88. He starts alongside Eric Morton in 22nd. Row 12, it's Frank Chavez of the Budweiser number 23. He runs alongside Daniel Molinari for Draft Nights Racing in 24th. Row number 13, Ron Milam will start 25th of the Crown Royal number 91. He runs alongside Riley Watts in number 45. Row 14, James Graney brings up at 25th. He starts alongside Ted Gambill. Top 30 on the afternoon closed out by Jason Steptoe alongside Samuel Longworth. Then the back of the field headed up by Aaron Longworth, Keenan Kimber, and Adam Hoagland will close out what was set to be a 34-car field. There was a 33rd driver. They have not made it to the starting grid. They will be missing the call this afternoon. So for the most part, just about everybody here in your field set and ready to rumble here this afternoon. And I'm not going to bother asking if you got a favorite to win this one, Lucas, because let's be honest, it's Daytona. It could be anybody by the end of the night.
I think what I'll do to pick my favorite winner, I think I'm going to put every single one of the 34 drivers that's in this grid, put them on a wheel and just spin that bad boy. And whatever that wheel lands on, that is who I'm going to pick this to win this race, because around Daytona, it really feels like a crapshoot at some moments. Of course, the drivers that are better at pushing, the drivers that are better at getting pushed, and the drivers that play their lanes better, they will make their way towards the front. But at the end of the day, with the big one always being inevitable and crashes happening all up and down the field, you never know who's going to make it out on top, and you never know what's going to happen to you.
So the pack getting set to go here this afternoon as, well, you got the number 51, you got the 5, both running up alongside each other. Stephen Blevins, Terrence Murphy. We'll be lining it up 1 and 2 on the grid. Now, if I'm the drivers behind, I might be content to let these two guys lead the lines here for a little while because, hey, they get the same bit of extra fuel. That could be valuable when you could be looking at under a 20-lap stint on the field.
Yeah, of course, if you're able to extend your fuel stint, extend just a little bit, and that little extra bit of fuel that you save, if a caution comes out in that time, you benefit very heavily from that. And of course, you think about it, it's an 100-lap race, though, and being super aggressive on the first lap, the first 75 laps is really, really risky, especially when you know that it's going to be a very long one.
Well, we're happy you're joining us for more racing action here on Friday night as the pace car pulls down to the pit road. Time to get a new league underway into the United Rentals restart zone. It's go, go, go with the world center of racing. Coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4. Terrence Murphy leading the way. He will pick up the lead at the end of lap number 1. Pole setter Stephen Blevins dropping back to the third place spot early on. Kevin Haas, the primary pusher and the driver leading the outside line right now, is going to be that number 87 car of Blake Holland up top. He runs all the way back in 7th.
Yeah, that 45, you saw pushed up a little bit there, kind of got the 87 a bit swirly. But yeah, you mentioned that high line died off really, really quickly, which makes sense for the opening laps. You know, as these drivers are trying to find comfort, trying to, you know, really find their spot in this pack, that high line is going to die very quickly. However, as the race progresses and as these drivers up top here find their comfort levels and find what they can do, that high line using the side draft and the better runs to get out of corners will be very quick very soon.
A lot of drivers kind of testing the waters right now, seeing what works, what doesn't. Riley Watts putting down the fastest lap of the race so far, a 46.725, although the fastest lap kind of going to be a bit of a moot point here for the opening few laps here. In fact, pretty much most of the Super Speedway racing. In fact, I suspect we're not going to really see the fastest lap contenders until the first round of pit stops, because drivers are going to be able to take that fastest lap back by utilizing all the draft from lap cars coming out of pit road. Fastest lap doesn't mean a whole lot here in terms of outright pace like it does at other tracks. It just means you got a bit of a run on the guy in front of you more often than not. But mostly single file up front, only 5 cars run that top side out of turn 4.
Yeah, it's funny you bring up the point about the fastest lap as 2 drivers from the top line go down to the bottom. Now it's a 3-car train up there. 3 cars alone. It is enough to be quick, but they'll have to really work well. And who is this? A bit slow coming out of pit road. That's Adam Hoagland, the 24. Not too sure what happened to him, Nolan.
Hoagland is going to be the, who was set to be the 33rd car on the grid. He did not make the start, and I do believe was not in the session. Possibly had a hardware failure during qualifying that he had to get situated. He is back on the racetrack now, and critically, only 2 laps down. That is recoverable. He can actually recover that time against a couple of lucky cautions here. And he knows he's got at least 2 yellows coming on up, and that is for both stages. Hoagland's race is definitely not over yet. He's got the chance to potentially bounce back, but he is going to go 3 laps down before stage 1 draws to a close, unless the caution comes out first.
Yeah, so luckily we do have this lucky dog rule in effect, which simply states that the lead lapped car gets their entire lap back, even if they're 2 laps down, even if they're 3 laps down. If they're the highest position car a lap down, they will get at least 1 of those laps back for every single caution. So yeah, he's 2 laps down right now, maybe about to be 3, but if cautions keep coming out, if those 2 or 3 cautions come out back to back to back and he's able to not drop any more laps, he can use those cautions to his advantage, get those lucky dogs, and get himself back on the lead.
Oh boy, second car the outside line there, so I'll get a little bit close and personal with that outside wall, and nearly went around. I believe that was Daniel Jackson that got a bit close with the outside wall. 2 cars, in fact, a few cars starting to drop back. James Grady and Keaton Kimber have just lost the draft of front runners. They are starting to slip towards the rear of the field. As well as that, Jason Steptoe, Aaron Longworth, and John Sheen running in a 3-car pack back here as well. They have also dropped off quite heavily for the front runners as well. So not a lot of drivers at the back able to keep up with runners up front, and that is Riley Watts. Started to lose even more time. Look at all the separation that we're seeing in that, the further back you get here in the midfield.
Yeah, it's really interesting. A lot of times when I talk about
up into the outside wall there for Watts as they went 3 wide.
Yeah, that was really weird, especially if you're this far back. You have two concerns: one, not dying, and two, just trying to keep up with this main pack. You don't want to happen to what happened with those guys back there in 29th and 30th, where you fight too much back, you fight too much behind everybody, and you just slowly fall back, and once you lose the draft, it's really, really hard to get back up there. But yeah, it's really interesting that we're seeing this snaking. Essentially, you know, these cars are just one line across the entire racetrack, instead of the double file rush hour that you usually see. A lot of the times at Daytona, at Talladega, I'll define it as 180 mile an hour rush hour, where it's just absolutely chaos, cars side by side, bump drafting, touching, whatever. But look at this, it's just a snake all the way from first to about 30th.
Single file for the most part here, as everybody just trying to keep things balanced here. And again, it's a 100 lap race. Drivers are not going to be very keen on opening up those doors early on. It's a very long race. You don't want to be the guy that ends up turning somebody into the wall and creating a multi-car pile of less than 10 laps into a race like this. And again, I think we're seeing a lot of fuel strategy at play here as well, because right now Terrence Murphy is pulling the field along, and he is by far the driver that is burning the most amount of fuel right now by a long shot. Because look at how Kevin Haas, right? He is not willing to get up there and push him. Haas is running half throttle, just saving his fuel behind him, and Murphy is running on single car pace effectively.
Yeah, I mean, Terrence Murphy is really going to have to, at one point or another very soon, it sucks to do as a race car driver, lift off, go high, and try to see if he can file in 2 cars back. So there's a really big gap between the 51 and the 78. He's going to have to do that pretty soon, or he's just going to run out of gas so much quicker than these other drivers. Probably, I'd say about 2 or 3 laps earlier, he'd have to pit if he keeps up, and he might just be doing it right now. As he goes high... Okay, he's baiting me. That would have been crazy.
Daniel Molinari. Look at Molinari driving up to the pole. And Molinari has figured something out. Now, what this says, right, this tells you that everybody on the bottom lane is only running about half throttle here, including the race leader. Remember, this is an old trick, right? Don't put the throttle fully down. You save a lot more fuel that way. Right now, Molinari running about 15 miles an hour faster than the cars on the inside line, because he is at full tilt trying to get to the front to lead some laps.
Yeah, this is crazy. You mentioned it perfectly. He's full throttling. He's using the side draft too on that inside lane. He's able to just push himself all the way to the front with the help of the 22 machine. And look at that. We have a new leader. It is now Molinari and Tester in your first and second. Terrence Murphy and Kevin Haas get dethroned because they were saving too much fuel. But is that the strategy here for a 25 lap stage?
This is honestly intriguing, and I'm sure Terrence Murphy is not complaining about this at all, right? Because now he can actually effectively save some fuel. He has now picked up the pace. Now everybody running over 300 kilometers an hour. So the field headed down to the turnovers 1 and 2 is now at full chat once more. And once again, this is the strategy coming into play, right? Some drivers wanted to save fuel. They backed off a little bit. Other drivers decided, all right, well, if you're going to play that game, I'm just going to go all the way to the front. I'm going to make you run my pace. That is what Molinari has done. Now you got a lot of drivers like Brian Matthews that are all side by side because they are all scrambling around, looking around. They are trying desperately to try and find a way to get in with each other. But right now, it's just not happening. We have cars going around to the back into turn number 3. Several cars being beat around the bush. One car spinning out of turn 4. That is Ethan Farless down to the inside, looking like they've managed to pull it out. We will not have a caution. We stay green.
Wow, great work from those guys to keep their cars straight and keep the race green. You saw, I don't know what car it was, that white and sky blue car was almost completely sideways at one point. Just went down the apron, was able to see it, save it, and here we're going to get a really good replay to show you guys.
Well, this is kind of in progress already up the road from these guys. Well, there you see Farless already going around. So this happened well ahead of all of these drivers. See a lot of guys kind of just checked up to get around that. This is going to be a better look as we look further up the field. Right there, it was a really bad bump in the middle of the field that caused drivers to get pinged around, and somehow we don't get a yellow flag off of this.
That was so weird to watch. It was like something so small happened at about 15th or 17th position, and then the reaction from a lot of the drivers behind was worse than the actual incident itself. So the checking up from drivers and trying to, you know, go up and down the track quickly, those reactions is what caused all of these weird kind of spits to happen, which is really intriguing. You can see some stuff happens up there, people go to the apron to try to avoid it. And that's Ethan Farless. That's the sky blue car I was mentioning earlier. He went down the apron to avoid the crash, and when he tried to come back on the track, he actually got loose. But just great job from him to keep the car straight.
Yeah, Farless had checked out because he was anticipating the big accident, and I don't blame him for thinking that, right? I mean, that had all the hallmarks, and that was going to be a massive accident at turn 4. Cranked the car to the inside, got hung up on the apron transition. Did a good job to hold on to it. Keep the car pointed in the right direction. Some drivers do have some damage as a result of that, but looking like just about everybody has been able to more or less get away with that. Well, we got a few packs further back, but we are double file up front. Right now, Brian Matthews had the lead, but Jason Siegfried trying to go up top. He is being pushed by the former pole sitter, Stephen Blevins.
And speaking about people that have bet on pole, Terrence Murphy, who was effectively the point in this race for that, you know, good 7 or 8 laps there. He's dropped all the way back down to 10th. You can definitely tell that he is saving fuel. He is not pushing aggressively like a lot of these other guys are. You can tell that he really thinks that he can extend this first fuel tank all the way to the end of this first stage, which would be really impressive, because remember, guys, that number that Nolan and I estimated before the race was 17 laps. So 17 to 25, that's saving an entire 8 laps of fuel. That is not an easy feat at all, and I will be very impressed if these guys will be able to pull it off.
Stephen Blevins to the lead. Jamie Dunning tucks in behind him, and I got a little bit worried there for a second because it looked like Blevins kind of was playing with a bit of fire there. Wasn't sure if he wanted to really clear across the nose of Dunning. That outside lane started to lose quite a bit of touch of the front runners. Kevin Haas in particular dropping off quite significantly, and he's going to have a couple of cars pull up in front of him. Sorry, that's Douglas Ivey that's dropping back there now. And the number 22, Robert Tessler, pulls up across those in the Pennzoil number 22. So for the most part, double file back here all the way to about 15th place, and then Akari King Ride, the defending champion, holds a mini pack of 16th through 18th. They are slowly being caught by 19th through 24th, right now held by Dean Howard at the front of pack number 2.
Yeah, and you talk about a lot of single files and cars in the back. They're trying to look for a higher line, trying to see if they can get something started, but when you only have 2 or 3 of you, it's really hard to get something going. And yeah, 51 and 54 here, they're doing a really good job of pushing each other and getting separation from the guys behind. Look at that separation between 3rd and 4th. That's Siegfried and Matthews. That just really goes to show how good of a job the 51 and 54 are at doing of leading this race. Of course, that probably means they're not saving fuel, and they'll definitely have to come down pit road within the next 2 or 3 laps. But sometimes track position is just much more favorable as well.
Boy.
The 87 just towards the 82. The 82 looking for retaliation, Nolan.
Yeah, I don't think Molinari did not like that. Not one bit. Sending the message to Blake Hullett. Hey, don't do that again. It was a really bad bump from Blake Hullett from Terrence Murphy that nearly sent these drivers up and around. That got all sorts of dicey on the back straightaway. I mean, you want to talk about a moment. That is about as close as it gets. Right on board to the number 5. He's the one that gives the bad bump here to the 87 car. Hullett goes high. Molinari's only kind of drifts out trying to side draft, and then right here just bumps on the left rear quarter panel, and then Molinari clearly not happy about it.
Yeah, just way too off-centered there. I talk about a lot. I'll probably go into more detail about the perfect place to push later on as we get some more boring laps, but hitting a car that off-center with that much difference of a closing speed is really going to put a shock through the car ahead and really get him loose like that. So Terrence Murphy, the number 5 there, just not the best of bump. My assumption is that he didn't realize how much quicker he was than the guy he was trying to push, as Now we have some 2-wide action here. That's the 12-9 going high around the 1 in the 32. That is all the way back in the field. This is the B pack, I believe.
You are correct. Much less organized than our front field is right now, who's mostly single file. These guys are in an argument here over who's going to lead the pack.
Yeah, and if you are the B pack, that's not what you want to be doing. You should have one goal and one goal only. That's to catch up to the A pack. That is to stay single file, have 2 really good bumpers up front, have a third guy that knows how to keep his car as close as possible to the second car in line, and have those 3 guys carry you back to the A pack. And Nolan, lining up double file like this will only get you further away, and will let that C pack catch up as well.
And catch up that C pack is Ted Gamble, about to punch under 2 seconds to these guys up here. Terrence Murphy trying another attempt to go up high. He has got Willie Smith shoving the back of the number 5 this time by as they try to make that move into turn number 3. Big stack up on the inside line. It's going to keep these guys relatively secure. Stage ends at the end of lap 25. We have 5 laps to go in stage number 1 here this afternoon before our first yellow flag of the day is set to fall, and of the season officially. This could be a bit of a wild one coming up here.
Yeah, and I almost wonder if Terrence Murphy has saved enough fuel earlier on. You know, you remember he was 50% throttle, was really backing off when other people passed him. I wonder if he saved enough fuel earlier on this stage to now make, oh my gosh, the 87 and the 07 are 3 wide for a second. 87 has to go below the yellow line to not get hooked by that light blue 07 machine. That was so weird.
Yeah, Wayne Graves having a bit of a moment there for the Garage Mahal Motorsports contender. Again, able to more or less gather it up. There goes the 33. Douglas Ivey jumping over to the top side. He wants to lead the outside line. And now these are drivers battling for stage points. Top 10 gets stage points from 10 back to 1. You also get playoff points for each stage that's win. You get 1 playoff point per stage, which is 1 extra point that you start with if you make it into the playoffs. So absolutely critical. Whoa, hold on, here we go. Multiple cars going around. 1 car sliding all the way to the inside. That's Dan Molinari, and somehow he keeps it off the inside wall. What a save for the 82, but any chances on getting stage points go up in smoke.
Yeah, the 82 trying to take the Le Mans chicane in the Daytona road course here, as he has to go all the way to the bottom of the track and avoiding action, and we're going to get a great replay of that right here.
We'll get more of a look on that one in a moment. 1 car is coming to pit road. James Graney could not make the distance. He is coming down to pit road this time by. So the leaders could be in jeopardy. Almost a bad bumper. Terrence Murphy to the back of Joshua Siegfried. Sign by sign coming out of turn number 2 down the super stretch with 2.5 laps to go.
Here we go. That outside line has finally formulated. We have a great battle for who is going to win this first stage. The 5 pushing the 2 high, the 54 trying to connect with the 51 low, but look at the separation, Nolan. They're just too far apart. But you know what's even worse? You know where I'd hate to see the separation as well? The 2 car and the 5 car, they have to go all the way low, squeezing that inside line across to the yellow line there, because when you're able to drive that closer to the inside line, you're able to side draft them really, really nice. And you can get so much extra speed and slow down their speed so much. If the 2 and the 5 want a reliable chance of making it to the front of this pack, they need to drive lower down the racetrack and side draft the absolute crap out of the lower line.
2 laps to go. Make that coming to 1 lap to go this time by, as the pack continuing to make whatever moves they can. Siegfried continues his charge up top. A pole sitter, Stephen Blevins, is not letting that inside line go for a second. White flag in the air. We're in the final lap of the opening stage.
They're not side drafting. You see the outside line is losing all of their momentum. The 2 and the 5, or I guess essentially the 2, because, you know, he gets to control where that line is. We have a couple cars coming down pit lane. The 2 is just not getting as low as he needs to be, and that's just killing the outside's momentum, as that looks to be the 45. But yeah, look at that. They've already fallen back. Look, Joshua Siegfried's now in 6th position, coming to the green checkered flag here. But here's the move.
Looking
for
for
the win.
Looking for 3 wide of the back. One car getting turned. Jonathan Dominic spins, slides around hard into the outside wall. Caution comes out. Stephen Blevin's going to hang on for the stage 1 win, and it's the big one up in turn number 4. Heads up because that second pack flying in here at full speed. Looking like they're going to be able to get it checked up in time, but boy, a scary moment as drivers arrive on the accident scene. And looking like actually Jamie Dunning may have got him at the line. We'll take a look at that in a moment. For now, this initially here, this was what happened to Molinari. Punt to the inside, goes for a 190-mile-an-hour slide to the inside wall, and what a good job to bring that car up underneath him. And now this is what puts us under the caution flag here in stage 1.
Yeah, we can take a look here. I think it's just a lot of aggressive moves as they're approaching the green checkered. You know, the drivers, every single point matters. And it might be a bad bump from the 2 car to the 45. Yeah, there it is. Hits him way off center down low. That gets the 45 loose, comes down to the 3. The 3 comes back up. The 2 comes back up. Terrence Murphy and that 5 machine comes down, and it's just absolute chaos from there.
A multi-car incident here coming around into the final corner as Kevin Haas got spun around as well. It was a tough accident here for several drivers. This is going to bring pretty much the entire field down to pit road. We'll look at this again one more time at speed. And this is kind of a bit of both, right? It's partially on the 2, but that 45 car, look at him weaving all over the place. That is not making it easy to bump him either. So I think both contenders with a little bit of fault there in that one. Both of them could have done a little bit more to ensure that that didn't end up the way it did, but it does look like Jamie Dunning got the stage win because they have awarded him the lead at the time of caution. And man, look at everybody behind you arrive on scene. Oh, hold on! As the 9 spun across the racetrack, throttled up, and took another car with them.
Yeah, that was Dean Howard you saw there. I did not even notice that at our first watch through. Just straight into the outside wall. That is wheel damage at best and engine damage at worst, as a lot of drivers speeding into pit lane, I assume? Or a lot of drivers with black flags?
No, it's because they needed to wait for a driver to come down to pit road. They didn't wait. It was one of the damaged cars caught up in the wreck that they had to wait on, and they didn't. And so they're going to have penalties now for passing before the start-finish line under caution. So we'll see how this one's going to pan out, but looking like 4 tires and fuel going to be the call. A lot of drivers with meatball flags, a lot of drivers with black flags. Right now, Daniel Jackson stayed out of the racetrack. He currently leads the way. He will not for long. Douglas Ivey, the first car who came through a pit road, and he is looking to potentially lead this field back to green. Stay with us. We'll be with you with more in just a moment on Green Flag TV.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
At Pinnacle Wraps, we proudly offer top-tier liveries that showcase your unique style on the racetrack. Elevate your iRacing experience today with a stunning custom design that truly represents who you are and your passion.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV as racing action is set to kick off in just a few moments here. Douglas Ivey and Blake Hullett currently leading the way as we are going 1 to green in your stage 1 caution flag. Now, to recap this here, not everybody has taken 4 tires in field. In fact, a lot of drivers like Wayne Graves and Frank Chavez who have only taken 2. Now, a good host of drivers with black flags, they did not wait for cars to pass them before coming down pit road. Those drivers include Stephen Blevins, Austin Norris, Daniel Jackson, and Jonathan Dominics. Akari King Wright is currently sitting in pit road with the meatball flag. This is a tough break for Wright, right? Because remember, King Wright, the defending champion. It is not good to be starting off your championship on the back foot like this.
Yeah, it's not where you want to be, but luckily it is a very long season, and it is a win-in-your-win type playoff format. So even if you have a bad race at Daytona, there are 15 other races left this season. Or my math is probably wrong there, but there's a lot of other races left this season that Akari King Wright, the defending champion, can make up his ground. When you talk about taking tires on the pit stop, I'm gonna be completely honest. This is not an IndyCar flat-out track. It is a NASCAR flat-out track. Daytona, Dega. You really don't have to be changing your tires around here. So I'm surprised that drivers took tires at all.
Well, the pace car is into pit road. Stage 2 draws to an end at the end of lap 55 in just under 30 laps time. Green flag is up in the air. Racing action resumes. No, it doesn't. The green flag never flew. The green flag never came out. We do not have a start. It got waved off at the last second. Something happened to delay the start. We don't know what. But iRacing never threw the green flag. The leaders sure thought they did because they just jumped on it.
That is so weird. I don't know if it's one of those iRacing moments
Take
or...
a look at this. Hold on. Right there. Right as they enter the restart zone, the yellow flag came back out. The leaders are accelerating, trying to take the green. I have a feeling what they are attempting to do here, Lucas, what they're trying to do, they are trying to see if they can sort out the issue with the black flags, I reckon, and that's why we have this delay here.
That makes sense.
The problem is they didn't actually cause a new caution. They only extended the current one. So Stephen Blevins still has his black flag.
Yeah, this is unlike anything I've ever seen before. I'll say that, but
Yeah.
I do like the fact that race control, they're taking their time to make sure everything is right, everything is sorted out, instead of rushing back, getting back to the racing. I'm glad that they're kind of taking a step back, saying, okay, what do we have to fix and how can we fix it? And doing it under the caution to give themselves more time to actually fix the problem. So I am glad that we're still under the yellow, trying to fix everything so that every driver has a fair and equal chance at winning this race.
Well, we'll try this one again as the pace car pulls into pit road, this time by one car. Might be Terrence Murphy, I think, pulling in as well. Green flag back in the air, and this time it looks like it'll stand as the field takes off towards turn number 1. Side by side for the lead. Blake Hawley going to jump down and clear Douglas Ivey to the opening corner, making a quick move to the point early on.
Yeah, great run there from the 87 of Blake Hawley. Just noticed that he got a really good run on the outside line, was able to take the point from second position, which is not something you see often. And once again, Nolan, outside line, say goodbye to it. We are single file all the way through the field.
And expect to see pretty quickly as well, drivers start to lift out of the throttle and kind of gradually bring that speed down, right? Because not a lot of drivers, if this goes the way of the first stint, not a lot of drivers are going to be wanting to play it safe on the fuel. They're going to want to try to save as much fuel as they can just to try and stretch it out with the lap counter. Further in behind, the first driver on the outside line, Austin Norris. He is right now pushed by the number 12 of Adam Hoagland. Hoagland is still 3 laps down as a result of how that caution flag flew. So unfortunately for Hoagland, all of a sudden it looks like that chance to go on the lead lap is looking pretty slim.
Yeah, we talked about how you know, when these cautions come out, he gets a lot of chances. It's a 7! Nearly goes up to the 57. He needs to get that car to control. Okay, Samuel Longworth, bit of a scary moment there for a second, but now he's back under control. But still, he's looking really high on the exit of the corners, so I wonder if he's having a bit of a wheel issue there. But yeah, we talked about the fact that, you know, he could have a chance of getting his lap back all the way to get back in the lead lap. But if other cars go lap downs as well, that hurts his chances. As Eric Morton, that Ford machine looking really slow. The car's giving some hops that might have damage, or
he just came out of pit road.
Oh, okay.
So he's just playing it safe over the exit bumps there, headed through that turn 1, right? It's a very bumpy pit exit here at Daytona National Speedway, and even on the road course side, through the infield pit exit, that state ring strip. I mean, how many GT and prototypes have you seen spun around? I remember the VSCA 24 hours in Daytona. We saw about 4 or 5 different crashes coming out of pit road here. I mean, you got to be careful with that. It'll get you. Up to the top side is going to be the 23 of Frank Chavez wanted to go to the front. We are so far double file. Not a lot of fuel saving going on here in the early laps of stage 2.
You talk about the bumpiness. It's even worse on the Legacy edition of this track. The entire thing around, even on the racing surface, is bumpy. I remember doing a race, just a week 13 race around Legacy Daytona in one of the Legacy NASCAR Cup cars. And it was absolutely bumpy, but it was so much fun. You know, you're flat out through the corners, your wheel is shaking left and right. You're trying to hold on, trying to keep the wheel left, trying to keep it straight down the straights. But the Legacy Daytona, talk about bumps. I mean, that'll give your wrists a really big workout.
Well, right now, Robert Tester leads the field down to the turn number 1 as the stadium lights officially kick on over the World Center of Racing, making this race officially a night race. You look at the track temp and how that's been impacted throughout this race, already down to just 80 degrees Fahrenheit, but quite a bit of crosswinds blowing off to the east. In fact, 8 miles an hour worth of wind blowing. That's going to put the wind hard onto the driver's left rear quarter panels coming out of turn number 2. So drivers are going to have to be very, very cautious about that. They need to come through turns 3 and 4. Again, it's pushing on the right front this time when they head down the front straightaway. So that's going to be something that drivers are going to have to be really fighting with to contend with.
Yeah, I think the biggest part that'll impact, you mentioned that it's going to be pushing on the left rear quarter panel coming out of 2. Essentially, that's the same direction that the car gets loose when you get a bump from behind. So drivers are going to have to be very, very careful about bumping on the exit of 2 because, you know, the combination of the push and the combination of the banking and the combination of the wind pushing you loose, it's going to be really, really hard to keep your car straight if you're getting pushed coming out of turn 2.
Oh, hold on, here we go. Oh, my goodness. Oh, a big crash up into the outside wall. 23 car going up and hard into the fence, and we're still crashing all the way around through turn numbers 3 and 4. Caution finally comes out. A little bit late on the call, and we're still pinging off each other in the exit of 4. And just like that, caution number 2 is out, and it's the big one up in turn 3.
And a 65 trying to make his way through the maze of crashed cars, just couldn't do it, unfortunately. Nearly more contact.
That came out of nowhere for the field. Watch the 23. I think Molinari, no, it was actually the 33, push over the inside and turned the number 23 Budweiser machine up into the outside wall. And you see the 91 Crown Royal car kind of get pinged off the bottom side as well. That is what brought out everything else in this mess, coming around through 3 and 4. So one crash leading into the next.
And then, leading into the next, and then it's funny you say that because then the cars behind have to slow down and they're not able to check up completely. So then there's more contact. And then there it is, the 57 to 65 make more contact and just, one crash leading into the next, and on forever and et cetera, it feels like.
You see, they just
in the blink of an eye, everyone that got involved with that, the race is just over. It's crazy.
I mean, they were just kind of leaning on each other and they wouldn't get off of each other, right? I mean, that's super speedway racing for you. Sooner or later, that track's going to bite you. And while the 33 pushed up just a little bit too much to realistically have a chance on avoiding that. Oh, a big lick into the wall as well for cars behind. And, oh, pretty sizable impact into the inside there for another. And look at Jamin Barnhart just barely avoid the inside wall. Take a ride on board with Barnhart.
Yeah, so here we go, just behind. This is the 14 of Jamin Bernhardt. He's just behind it. There's all the smoke up ahead. He's thinking he has it. He loses on the apron, but is able to keep it out of the wall.
Only
yes, he does. Look at that.
Well, look at how close the back end comes, though. Oh, my goodness. And that, the only reason why I kept that off the wall, right? There's that big hill on the inside of turn 3. That helped really slow down all of his momentum coming around through that corner.
Yeah, that's crucial. Coming out of that with no damage is going to be really, really big because no faster pairs in this league, and so many cars were involved with that. Just surviving the big one is going to shoot you up in the standings heavily.
You make a really good point, right? Absolutely no quick pairs in this league, so there is no mercy if you get caught up in an incident like this. And this one, it caught a good number of people in it, and quite a few drivers that you thought might have gotten around it ended up not being so fortunate. You know, I think one driver that might have avoided this, John Sheen, in the number 55, right on board with Sheen.
Let's see if we can find a Lightning McQueen moment here. Is he snaking his way through the crashing cars? We can take a good look here. He might just be
a bit of a tap to the back of the 28. Otherwise,
okay.
Yeah, kind of gets through that one just fine.
I love that. I'll never forget when one of my teammates had a true Lightning McQueen moment at Daytona, or it could have been Talladega. One of the super speedways. I mean, they're all the same at the end.
You have just angered a lot of super speedways.
I know. I'm joking.
You have just made a lot of enemies by saying that.
I take that back, guys. I swear, I take that back. But no, it was at one of the super speedways. They're very different tracks, and I heavily regret that I can't remember which one, but it was at one of them. And I just remember he was absolutely weaving his way through the crashes. And this is gonna sound really counterintuitive, Nolan, but sometimes when the crash happens around you or right in front of you, the best thing you can do is to get on the gas and drive your way through it instead of slamming on the brakes.
Pretty big crash over in turn number 4 takes out a good number of drivers. Coming up on Green Flag TV, we're going to have tomorrow night the SRA Gen 4 series at the Iowa Speedway. Lucas, you and I are back at the booth again for Saturday Night Action. The Blaze Battles ARCA series, we'll see who will conquer the Lady in Black. That'll be on Sunday afternoon at the Darlington Raceway. The Mid-Atlantic Racing Series with their 4th race of the season. That'll be at Homestead Miami Speedway this coming Tuesday, just down the coast where we currently sit right now. The OMSRO Gold Series will kick off their next race at the Atlanta Motor Speedway on the older Legacy scan, while the Premier Sim Racing Outlat Motorsports Truck Series is out at Chicagoland. Speed Cup Series kicks off round 1 of the chase at the Las Vegas Motor Speedway, and then, well, it's round 2 for us here at the ZTRL Racing League. We will be at the Boston Mile next Friday night.
Yeah, great week for racing there. I mean, you mentioned OMSRL at the old scan of Atlanta. I still will never forget that SRA raced at that old scan just, I believe, 4 weeks ago, and it was an absolute banger of a race, and I expect the same thing to happen Tuesday night with the On My Screen Sim Racing League.
Robert Tester, Blake Hullett, the 2 drivers out in front. Everybody came down pit road, at least for fuel, so fuel no longer a question from here to the end of stage 2, which closes at the end of lap 55, just under 20 laps from now. 34 cars started this race. 29 remain, and 23 are on the lead lap. 1 car is into the wall at the very back of the field. They're not sure what the heck's going on back here for Wayne Graves, but the green flag coming out this time by Brian Matthews, slacked with the black flag right out of the gate for being in the incorrect position. That quickly gets cleared, and we are clear to turn number 1.
Yeah, and once again, Outside line is no more. I feel like I'm a broken record player at this point. And Nolan, I only caught it for a second. Would you mind going back to the 33 of Douglas Ivy? It looks like that front nose is really bashed in there. I don't know if I'm losing my mind or if it actually is. But
no, I think it's fine. I think he's still seeing a little bit of that damage from the initial. Oh yeah, no, it's kind of bent in there. That would be from the one that turned the 23 to kick off the big one in turn 4 just about 5-6 laps ago. But it'll be Robert Tester leading the way to the green flag. Douglas Ivy, that front end damage clearly is not. It's not impacting him too much as he continues to drive clear into turn 1 this time by.
Yeah, he probably won't be feeling it too much. Luckily, we are at a super speedway. Downforce isn't the most important thing. If he's leading a pack, however, it's going to give him a lot of drag coming down the straights. You know, just the tiniest bit of smushiness in that front is really going to affect the way that the air goes around that car. So leading a pack is going to hurt him a lot, but when he's in the middle of the pack, even second in line probably won't be feeling too much. As here we go, the 51 to 32. Trying to get something going on this high line. They are done waiting. They want to make their way to the point of the field. And let's see, Nolan, if they use my handy trick that nobody has on the outside line yet. Let's see if they really try to hug that inside line and try to get some great side drafts.
The problem is it's risky doing the side draft, right? Because we've already seen a few times that happens to get just a little bit too close to drivers. And again, we're not even halfway. I don't think anybody's going to realistically be using that until we're in the back 20 laps or so, and even then, a bit of a stretch, maybe in the back 10 or the back 5, but, you know, here, I don't think anybody's really looking to do the side draft. I think if there is any, it's more inconsequential. You might see some of it in the last 3 laps. For stage points, the 42 car jumping to the middle groove. That was a bit dicey there from Aaron Longworth, who manages to get clear of the Tier 1 Motorsports number 42.
Yeah, and outside line still just kind of holding around that 3rd and 4th position. This is what I really love about Super Speedway. It's a game of momentum in between the 2 lines. You see one line really pulls ahead of the other, and then the next lap, the other line gets a great run out of the corner, and they go back and forth, until one eventually edges their way out, or until the outside line just falls completely back like they are now. But you see, they're around that 6th or 7th car on the inside line, but now coming down the straight, they're gonna have all that momentum. It's going to shift to them. And you can see that the 52 is really pushing that 37, and they're going to get a great run now. Sorry, the 87 and 32. Wow, I forgot I can't read numbers. That's on me, guys. But now they're going to get a great run and start shifting the momentum towards their line, and they'll fall back and then pull up and fall back and pull up, and it's really about how you can manage that. And can you make the lunge to put your car at the point?
You can't read numbers. Aren't you the math major in the room here?
I am. That's crazy. That's a crazy fact you pull up, because I am the one that is majoring in one of the most difficult branches of math, and I just can't read numbers when they're big, bright, and shiny, I guess. I don't know.
That tracks. Well, the field continuing their strong run down the back straightaway. A pretty big drop-off from Keenan Kimber back to... Oh, boy, hold on. There's a few drivers getting a little bit discombobulated back in the field, but they're able to gather it up. Again, you know, Brian Matthews, bit of a gap between him and Jason Steptoe, although that little mistake there from the front runners have allowed them to close in about 7/10 of a second just through turns 3 and 4, but they quickly got them moving to back up, and this second pack doesn't look like they're going to have the pace. A lot of cars in here are still running damage from prior incidents tonight.
Yeah, going back to that earlier, it was a really scary moment for the 12. The 45 checks up in front of him. The 12 makes contact with his rear. The 12 gets hit from behind. There was one point the 12 is actually ham in a ham and meats or ham and Swiss sandwich where he was just in between 2 other cars, both making contact, and that was very scary. I'm surprised that they didn't result in a caution, because the 12 was absolutely wedged and really, really scary.
Turning lap 45 as of right now. There's a long way to go yet before, well, not a long way to go, but a lot that can happen between now and the end of stage number 2, which again does bring to a close at the end of lap 55. After that point, we will be green flag racing to the end of the race. James Graney jumped up to the outside line, thought maybe could find some momentum, but look at how much momentum they have now lost as a result. They have no pace. A very poorly timed move to the top for the number 25 entry. They are starting to get some momentum, but only have to lose about 4 or 5 spots in the process.
Yeah, people are still trying to get this outside line going. There's only 4 cars in it right now, and they're really, I believe, 10 cars back, it looks like. But people believe, you know, they really want to make their way up to the point. They're trying to make the moves they need to take control of their own race, because, you know, a lot of the times when you're back in the pack, you're sitting in 11th, there's really nothing you can do. The only way you can take control of your race and, you know, be the creator of your own destiny is by going high and trying to get something done. But now that you only have 2 cars in the high line, I wouldn't be surprised if everybody starts coming back down, which they are doing now in the 25. Yeah, he's going to lose out all those positions. He's going to fall back all the way to the back of his 8-pack here.
Talk about better than all in the 2-7 offsuit, right? Jumped up to the outside and is already running in the top 10 and chose to jump up to the outside line trying to get momentum. Instead, he lost quite literally all the momentum he had. And, I mean, heck, he should have folded before the river, because now he's lost the trap to the front runners. He's going to drop all the way back to the second pack at this rate. Holy cow. You seldom see such a poorly mistimed jump that leads to this type of a catastrophic result.
He took the 2-7 offsuit to the flop, and he got to the river, and when he got to the river, he says, "What am I still doing here?" But by that point, it was too late. Oh no, he's good. Okay, he's all good. Don't worry about it. The
he found a pair of twos to save the hand.
He did. Yeah, he got a 2 on the river, and now he's back in it with a pair of 2s.
Yeah, the dropping into the back, that would have been if he only had 7 high on that one. So, the field gonna make their way down into the turn number 1 once again. Less than 10 laps to go in the opening bell here on this one for stage 2, as Robert Tester continues to lead the way. Had a pretty broad host of drivers that have been leading laps so far today. And in fact, we'll take a look at all the drivers that have led laps and tell us a story, right? Stephen Blevins, Robert Tester, the 2 drivers that have led to most, but there's been several others that have come and gone over the last few laps.
Yeah, you can see Blake Hullett led 3 laps. Douglas Ivey led 3 laps of his own. Jamie Dunning, he's only led 1 lap, but if I'm not mistaken, Owen, that was the last lap of the first stage. So even though he's only led 1 lap, he's led the most important lap of the race up to this point. And does get himself that stage win. Gets himself, I believe, 10 points and then the playoff point.
And critically, he didn't even really lead the lap. He happened to be a couple inches in front at the time of the caution coming out of turn 4. So, Jimmy Lee Dunning, that 1 lap. And again, that's how it is, right? I mean, that 1 lap, at the end of the day, you can lead 99 laps, but you only need to really lead 1 lap, and that's the last lap.
Let me tell you, I only have 1 win on an oval in my collegiate iRacing league that I race for here at Ball State. That 1 win was last Thursday, and guess how many laps I led that race, Nolan? Exactly 1, and that was the last lap. I won by 0.004 of a second, sent it around the outside of my teammate, used a side draft in the IndyCar around Michigan, and I led the 1 lap, but it's the one that mattered the most, and I would not be surprised if the winner here tonight only leads 1 lap as well.
Daytona is known for photo finishes, right? Or at the very least, monumental accidents on the final lap, especially on iRacing. I mean, how many times in iRacing have we come down to these extremely close finishes? I mean, heck, you'll look at some of the top closest finishes of the entire season. Most of them come either from here or from the Talladega Super Speedway, as well as some of the gaps with the furthest margins from the field just falling apart and one driver scooting through to run away with it.
Yeah, of course that does happen. I remember I drove a Daytona 500. I think it was my first ever official one of the iRacing special event Daytona 500s. Me in first place. I was in second, he was in first. We pulled away from the pack with the lap car. Us 3 together, we were able to stay in line. No one fought each other, stayed in line, and we were just able to get 1-2 by probably, I don't remember the gaps, but a huge margin, probably like 10 or so seconds, just because 3 cars all linked up together are very, very quick if you're not fighting each other. And yeah, something happens to the grid behind and the caution doesn't come out. You lose the draft, you lose your momentum, and you're just gonna have a very tough time catching back up.
4 laps to go in stage 2 here this afternoon. Robert Tester continuing to pull clear at the very head of this one. Douglas Ivey. When does he opt to make the look? He's going to have to make it at some point. If he doesn't have it made by Jamie Dunning first, it might come out of turn number 4 in the final lap. But that outside lane headed up by Jonathan Dominics along with Aaron Longworth. They are starting to build a gap. Dominics pushed by pole sitter Stephen Blevis, and now up to the top goes Aaron Longworth. The 42 now leads the way. Longworth has been aggressive in the second stage, and drivers might remember that if it gets down to the final lap.
Yeah, and you can see 45 pushing the 42 through the corner. That's Dominics and Longworth, like you were saying. And that's really, really aggressive, especially to be pushing on the exit of the corner. One of the worst places to push, but when it's coming to the final laps of the stage, you got to do what you're going to do sometimes. And now here we go, the 45. You can see when they're kind of shaking back and forth like that, that's when you know they're on the bumper of the car behind. And he's looking for it. He's too squirrely almost. He needs to really calm his car down, give him a good straight push, connect right here, right as they're coming down the straight, and you can get a great lunge going into turn 3.
Headed down the back straightaway right now. Robert Tester continues to pull clear at the very head of this field. It'll be 2 laps to go, this time by at the line. Aaron Longworth continues to lead the outside. Who makes the move first? The number 12 in the middle of that pack. Remember, that is a lap car. Adam Hoagland, does he play spoiler at some point in the front runners? No, he's going to stay to the inside. Longworth pulls alongside him, headed down to turn 1. There's the side drive you were talking about headed into the opening corner.
Yeah, the 42, the first car to do it all day. And you mentioned probably won't do it in the first half of the race, but now that we're 2 to go until the second green checkered flag of the race, that's when they'll start driving more aggressive. That's when they'll really push each other to the limit and get that side draft. The 42, here he goes. He's now gotten up to the 3rd car in line, still hoping for some good push from the 45. The 45 is really struggling to keep his car straight, though. Not too quite sure what Jonathan Dominics is doing with these pushes, but Aaron Longworth is really hoping that he can start making some good concrete contact in the back of his car.
Final lap in stage number 2. Robert Tester continues to lead the way up in front, with everyone else fanning out behind. Coming around into turn numbers 1 and 2. They're going to pass the Crown Royal number 91 of Ron Milov on the outside line, who stays right up by the wall and facilitates the pass for the front runners. Hold on, we're going to go 3 wide to the back. One car getting turned all the way down to the inside wall. I believe that may have been one of the lap cars in the middle of the field, while the rest of the pack coming out of turn number 4, this time by Jamie Dunning, pulling up alongside. Tester goes up to block. Ivy can't make the charge down low, and Robert Tester holds on for the win in stage number 2.
Wow, what a block from Robert Tester. He noticed the run that the 54 of Jamie Lee Dunning was going to have, brought his car up the racetrack, and that was the move to give him the stage win. Bravo. Hats off to the 22 of Robert Tester.
A great drive here for stage number 2 this afternoon. We are going to take another step back. You won't miss a moment. We'll be watching the pit stops side by side on Green Flag TV. Stay with us. We'll be back with more in stage 3 in a moment.
Racing isn't easy, but experiencing it is. iRacing puts you in the driver's seat with the industry's leading sim racing game. Drive on laser scan replicas of the greatest racing circuits from around the world. Go head-to-head against other drivers chosen by skill-based matchmaking to ensure competitive racing at every level. Compete across all your favorite series. In officially licensed cars, engineered to deliver the most accurate driving experience possible. Join a race or host your own with players from across the globe. Race against the computer or in a league with friends. Feel the thrill behind the wheel. Visit iRacing.com.
At Pinnacle Wraps, we proudly offer top-tier liveries that showcase your unique style on the racetrack. Elevate your iRacing experience today with a stunning custom design that truly represents who you are and your passion for racing.
Welcome back to Green Flag TV, where we are seconds away from returning to the Green Flag race in action here this afternoon at the Daytona International Speedway. The field is going to double on up, and we will race from lap 60 to the conclusion of racing action tonight. You're watching the ZTRL Racing League season opener here at the Daytona International Speedway. My name is Ola Wemple alongside Lucas Moody. But the race value this afternoon, minimal cautions, only 2 so far in the afternoon for crashes, and one of those bundling up with a stage yellow as well, Lucas. Both crashes have been multi-car pileups, and well, it's not looking to get any easier for the field as we're about to enter the real nitty-gritty of the race, and one green flag pit stop is anticipated before the end of this race, and it's going to be a bit of game of chicken to see who's going to be making their way onto pit road first.
Yeah, and I was just about to say, if I have one wish for this race, one thing that I would love to see happen, I want to see some green flag pit stops. When they work out, when the drivers are able to execute them, it looks like absolute poetry in motion. All the cars sliding down into pit road together, coming down slowly, slowing their car down. As you know, those brakes, very, very cold. Very easy to lock up. You have to go at like 40 to 50% brake pressure, or you will just lock up your cold brakes. I really want to see some green flag pit stops, because that truly separates, who should be at the front of the pack and who is just here because it's a super speedway.
Green flag pit stops often one of the most terrifying parts of a plate track, because it's the one time where you're hard on the brakes, and getting pit road is easy. Avoiding everybody else around you trying to get pit road, not so much. Teamwork is going to make the dream work for several drivers this afternoon as we will work our way back to the United Rentals restart zone. And once again, it'll be in the hands of Stage 2 winner Robert Tester to the green flag this afternoon. We're back to racing at Daytona.
45 in the top line, looking to get a good jump. The outside line for the first restart. This race has not instantly died off. It's still double file, about 8 or 9 cars back in the 45, looking to get some side draft off of Stephen Blevins, your pole sitter, and might just be looking to take the point of the race here.
This is the first time that outside lane has had a good jump off of any restart here. Jonathan Dominic's trying to be pushed to the front. He was not, didn't give the best of pushes to the 42 of Aaron Longworth. The 33 now of Doug Ivey trying to work with him. Coming out of turn numbers 3 and 4. It does look like Jonathan Dominic's clears for the lead of the race. He's going to swing down to the inside, and Dominic's leads his first lap of the night.
Yeah, very, very good opportunistic move there from Jonathan Dominic's, but that leaves now the 33 of Douglas Ivey with that front damage leading that top lane. So remember, that top lane is going to really, really slow down simply because that 33 has a lot of aero damage and will be producing a lot of drag in the front of a pack. And what happened there? as
Stephen Blevins and Robert Tester both made moves up to the outside line, cutting off the 33. They are quickly driving it back to the point of this race, not wanting to give a chance to Dominic's or Ivy on lead of the race, and now started to try to build up a two-car breakaway, but that's not going to work as they lose that momentum and now being sucked right back in by Dominic's and the rest of the field.
Oh yeah, great move then from Robert Tester and Blevins. As soon as they noticed that the 33 car was clear of them, they hopped back up, used the outside line to take back the point of this race and did it to very good effect. And now that 45 of Jonathan Dominic's back in third from the lead of the race. We have a car on the wall slightly back, but they got all that settled out.
To turn 4. Ivy going to be forced to drop into the clutches of TJ Ivy. So the Ivies are going to look to work together here. Headed down towards turn number 3 and 4. Got to make sure those familial bonds are strengthened. You see rip off of the corners here. Under 40 laps to go. So definitely in kind of the crunch time portion of the race, what would be the longest stretch of green flag racing as well, provided this one goes green for the distance.
Yeah, this will be it. We're going to hope it goes green to the distance, and that looks to be the 25 coming out of pit road is my assumption. I'm going to stay on the apron, stay off the track, and not inhibit any of the leaders racing here, because that would be very bad, and that would look very bad on him for the rest of the season, and I'm sure that he would get a lot of angry DMs in his Discord notification box. But now here we see the 55 actually giving some pushes to the 88, 3 cars back. Sorry, not the 55, that's the 65 of Keenan Kimber. Starting to really get aggressive in the top lane, has a huge move down to the bottom from the Reese's Pieces car. And now here we are on board with that 65. We'll see if he gives the 88 some more pushes. Remember, that's the Ivy brothers just in front of them. As, whoa, way up into the wall almost, it looks like, from 65.
Yeah, just about went up and slapped that outside fence. As the field going to keep the margins going. Oh, behind, hold on, they're starting to stack them up back here. And the 28 of Brian Matthews almost getting into the back of Longworth that time through. Again, just able to retain that gap, but again, we're getting a little bit antsy back here for my taste, and I'm sure for the tastes of several other drivers as well who are just trying to survive.
Yeah, it really is getting shaky, getting scary. You have a lot of drivers moving up and down the racetrack in split seconds, looking to see how they can make the most of this race, you know, trying to hop to the quicker line, then hopping back down. Every driver here is looking for something. Are we 3 wide there? We are 3 wide. And they've sorted each other out. So, wow, the 57 goes 3 wide and gets some places there. That's Austin Norris.
Yeah, Austin Norris kind of cutting through the middle for the Sky Motorsports machine and going to pick up a couple of positions there, getting a little bit dicey towards the back of the field. Daniel Molinari got shuffled out of the line. He had nobody go with him, so now he is starting to slip backwards to the field. 35 laps to go now. Oh, hold on, and he's going to force the 88 car, TJ Ivy, onto the apron. Ivy going to drop back towards Douglas Ivy. And he gathered up, and Molinari forces the hole that he was looking for.
You can tell, Nolan, there is no more fuel saving going on in this pack. They realize that there's no way that you can save it to the end of the race from the end of stage 2. A green flag pit stop is most likely mandatory as long as there's no caution. They know this, they're not saving fuel anymore, and they're driving flat out and driving very aggressively. And it's good to see some moves, but it's crazy that it hasn't resulted in a caution yet, and we're gonna hope that it doesn't in the coming laps.
Again, still a lot that can happen in a race that has been this intense throughout its duration, as Robert Tester continues to maintain his run at the head of the field, just logging laps. At this point, Tester has led the most laps out of any single driver this afternoon. So a stellar run for Tester here as he looks to keep that pace rolling into the final few laps. And Austin Norris with a problem as Norris dropping back rapidly to the field. Something has happened to the number 57.
Yeah, I wonder if just got a little bit loose and, maybe his car's okay, but, when you get loose and you lose that draft, if you're a solo car, you are just never catching up. We'll get a really good replay of it right here. And we can see what happened to the 57 of Austin Norris. Playing it aggressive.
Boy!
Yeah.
Bit of a helping hand there on the back straightaway. Again, though, a great save to the bottom for the 57 car. Stellar job there for Austin Norris.
Yeah, once again, we saw him making an aggressive move. Tried to clear himself back down to the inside line. Was not clear. Got his left quarter panel taken out and was able to turn right quick enough and save that car from going into the inside wall. But is going to lose the draft as Danny Jackson going below the yellow line. That was a very weird moment there for the 32 car.
Might just be trying to look ahead, see what the situation is looking like up there. You've done that on the highway, right? It's a traffic jam, kind of weave like halfway into the breakdown lanes. You want to like look ahead. It's like, why the heck are we going so slow? How far is this backed up? Do I need to like honk at the guy in front of me, or can I just change lanes and go around him?
So now, no, I don't know if you know this. Our phones have like maps. It's so cool. It tells us like how bad the traffic is.
Oh yeah.
Gives us an update for how long it is. Not playing.
Well, and that works until you realize the traffic jam is in a no cell service area. So so the map doesn't know there's a traffic jam there because no one can call it in.
Okay, well,
I got caught with that a few times on the way to work. It sucks. Because every time they were doing roadside construction, right? Like doing, and to be fair, it's necessary construction. They're repaving part of the road. It's necessary to do, but they were doing it in the 1 mile area on the entire stretch where there's no cell service.
That is insane.
It's like, what are the odds
that just
of
might be
that?
Canada for you.
That's just the wilderness for you in general. We're in the middle of nowhere.
That's a fair point. As I guess people that live in Montana, Colorado, no hate to them, but they might be going through the same thing of, highway just probably doesn't have the best of cell service. As running down through states, I'm gonna take us to Ohio for a second. Are we able to pull up the livery on the 5 machine of Terrence Murphy? This is probably something you don't know, being from Canada, but as a Cincinnati native, I instantly recognized the Grippo's machine of that 5 because that is a Cincinnati locally made barbecue chip that is very, very popular in this Midwestern region, Kentucky, Ohio, Cincinnati. So the Grippo's, really, really great chip. I love eating them. I can't eat too many of them at a time because my spice tolerance is very low and they do have a good amount of kick on it. But if you ever see the Grippo's, in store, at your grocery store, whatever, I definitely highly recommend checking them out, especially if you like spice, and also because they are a local Cincinnati American-made company. So just a little fun fact I want to throw out there because I instantly noticed the livery off of Terrence Murphy here.
Well, some drivers trying to make the outside lane work. Again, Dana Molinari trying to go up high. No one going with him. Oh, we're going to go 3 wide, deeper in the field as the 65-inch Keenan Kimber going to drop towards the tail. So Kimber falling off towards the rear of the pack. And this field could tend to let Tester burn himself up here at the head of the field, right? Because remember, they're all able to see fuel. Tester isn't. So I'm sure that Blevins is in no hurry to Tester out of the way. And sooner or later, if Robert Tester wants to come down with everybody else, he's going to have to think about jumping out of the line and fading towards the rear just so he can get back in line and save some fuel.
And yeah, let me tell you from unfortunately firsthand experience, in one of the Daytona 500s I did, I was leading a lot of the first stint, and I was burning out my fuel so much quicker than other drivers. And I'm on the iRacing radio saying, okay, I'm almost out of fuel. I have to come down in 5. Can I get some people to come with me? 2 laps. Okay, I'm coming down 2 laps. Can someone come down with me? On the last lap of my fuel stint, okay, I'm running out of fuel. I'm coming down this lap. If you want to pit with me, please do so I can have some, people to draft with. I go down pit road. Nobody follows me. I am absolutely by myself, left out to dry. It is one of the worst feelings, coming down from pit road in the lead, knowing that there is no way you are maintaining that lead with no draft around Daytona. So hopefully Robert Tester has some friends in the field that are willing to sacrifice their extra fuel, their extra laps to come down with him and fuel for him, or else the 22 car is in a very dire situation.
And it's not like one of the racetracks, right, like a Dover Motor Speedway, where you can just you can afford to bail out of it and not lose too much time. No, if you come down alone here, if you want to back out of that and throttle back up to catch back up, you're going to be spending the whole rest of the lap just trying to reach 180 miles an hour again. You lose more time going around than you do just biting the bullet and then coming on in, right? It would just be worth it at that point to come on down and lay in the bed that you made. Jamie Dunning by himself up top, trying to hold cars down to the bottom side. Nearly got into Daniel Jackson there. You've also got John Sheen, who will look to fight his way on through.
Yeah, Jamie Lee Dunning trying to use the side draft to just, hold the outside line by himself. It is something you can do. Kind of funnily, if you're able to hold the side draft perfectly enough, you can get a little bit of a run if you time it well by yourself on the outside line. Jamie Lee Dunning was looking for that on John Sheen, not able to find it, but we do have some 2-wide action here. That is the 50, I believe, leading that outside lane. They're about 7 cars deep, but they could really start getting some momentum soon if he can get some great pushes from the 82 behind, I believe that is.
Yeah, more and more cars starting to fade up towards the head of the field here, as we will officially take 25 laps to go. So running lap 76 of 100 here this afternoon. Oh, heads up, look out for the 25 up top. That is James Graney, who you saw come out of pit road several laps ago. He's going to stack up that outside line and force him 3 wide. Was not keen on making it easy for the front runners, and that has caused quite a bit of discombobulation in the pack. Everyone's stacking up, and now he's going to get turned. Spin to the inside. 360 spin. He's going to gather it up and keep it out of the wall. Kind of bounces down to the apron again, and well, he's going to sit and wait, and now he's going to take the toe.
Yeah, 25, a bad day just got worse for him as he was already many laps down, gets turned down the racetrack, trying to, not lose another lap, but unfortunately that is just going to be the end of the night for him, as that toe is going to take a lot of time. Let's see what happens here. Is it maybe the 41?
Yeah. I don't know. It's hard to, the door was open, and I think it was just a lot of indecision from James Graney and the 41 that kind of started that. I feel like both cars, again, could have done a bit more to avoid that. That, by the way, the 41 entry, that would have been... We don't have a 41. Am I blind? Do we not have a 41? 47, I think, actually. Ted Gamble. I think Ted Gamble, actually, number 47. But, yeah, it's just miscommunication, a lot of indecision, right? And, Derek and I have talked about this in plenty of Super Speedway races that we have called together, right? When you're making moves at Daytona and Talladega, you have to be decisive. You can't be fiddling around in the middle of the 2 lines and thinking about will I, won't I. You got to make that move. You got to be assertive about it. Say, I am making this move. Deal with it.
Yeah, you said it perfectly right. Indecision is what killed the cat. That's not the saying, but we're going to go with it for now. Indecision in racing. No, it's curiosity killed the cat. I don't know why I thought of cat, but I felt like saying it. Indecision is what killed the racing driver. We'll make a new phrase started right now. Boom. Lucas Moody, new phrase. Indecision killed the racing driver. Because if you're not sure of what decision you want to make, you can be definite that the cars around you don't know what decision you're going to make, which means they're not going to be confident in what you're trying to do, which just leads to a bunch of indecision, a bunch of question marks, and a bunch of chaos, and a lot of crashes. I believe that was the 9 car that we showed there for a second, went around for a little spin, had to reset back to pit lane.
And Dean Howard actually with the meatball flag, so he has had something really disastrous go wrong for his machine. Take a look. And, oh, he got turned by the 42 and hard into the outside wall. Again, no caution for this because it was all the way at the back and nobody was coming up on it. But you see that right front completely disconnected. But same old situation there, right? And again, you can say that Aaron Longworth blinked out. That is absolutely an argument that can be made, and it's a very valid argument. But at the same time, it's that indecision again.
Yeah, not only in racing, and a lot of the other video games I play, indecision really, really hurts you, and you have to be assertive on your choice, and you have to be 100% sure of it. you know, the games that come into mind instantly, I don't know if there are any other gamers out there, but Overwatch 2 and League of Legends, if you spend time, you know, running back and forth saying, oh, I should go here, no, I should go here, no, I should go here, by the time you make one of your choices, you're just going to be too late. And even if you pick the wrong choice, being indecisive about your decision is much more difficult. Here we go, green flag pit stops.
Several drivers choosing to come in early here on the stints. Choosing to split this one up in halves. I approve of it. So we're going to see several drivers now making their way into pit road, and I would expect to see Tester and Co. coming in before too long as well here. So we are right on the margin.
Yeah, and we caught a little glimpse of it, but the beautiful accordion piano type effect that you get when all of these cars come down pit road. I say piano accordion because they really they fan out like that to where it looks like they're fanning out like an accordion. And here we go once again. The second group of pit stops now is, whoa! Dominic's able to get past Tester going into pit lane. I don't know if he was speeding into it or if he just was better. Oh, the 50's around!
Jason Steptoe getting turned into his stall and bringing it to a stop on pit road is going to be, I don't know who it is that stopped there. I think they missed their box, though, because of it. So that's going to be disastrous there for Jason Steptoe, who got turned the wrong direction on the way into pit road.
By the looks of it, Nolan, he might be okay. He might be at the end of the pack instead of, you know, further up, but as long as he's able to stay with that pack and keep in the draft, that's really the main goal that you want to have with pit stops, and losing a couple positions at a super speedway is honestly fine as long as you keep your draft.
So it was the number 12 coming down on the right-hand side, Adam Hogland. And I got to be honest, I mean, the 50 just turned across his nose. And that caused Hogland to miss his box, which was behind him.
Yeah, it's one of those weird instances where there's a lot of ghosting that goes on in iRacing pit boxes. So sometimes you think a car on your inside is ghosted when they're really not.
Well, he wasn't in the
to
boxes.
me, that looks like... That's true. Yeah, and that's what's so weird about it, is you don't really know where the ghosting barrier is, as we have our third group making their pit stops here. It's really hard to tell.
Way too hot. Hold on. Heads up as two cars now with black flags hard into the wall for Ethan Farless, and Daniel Jackson, unfortunately, a victim in all this. He's got a black flag for speeding now as well, and from something that wasn't even of his doing. That has just ruined Jackson's race.
I mean, I said it earlier, the green flag pit stops at a super speedway, that is the real skill check. That is what separates the good from the bad, and if you can't nail it, then whoa, he's way too hot. Ethan Farless.
Oh my goodness. Was nowhere close to making pit road speed.
Not at all, and it's not even, I'm be honest, the braking point is very, very clear. There is a very obvious diagonal indent in the white line going to pit road, and that is a very good braking marker for when you should get on the brakes around Daytona. And it's very, very hard to mess up, and if you don't feel confident, brake slightly earlier. It's honestly not that bad when you're doing it alone, as you said. It's when you're doing it with a group of cars that makes it that hornet's nest effect, that makes it chaotic. And that's just what happened there. The 32, just really unfortunate victim, Danny Jackson, an unfortunate victim of something that he could not avoid.
16 laps to go. All pit stops today are complete. Ethan Farless remains in pit road with extensive damage after he popped the motor with that heavy hit right into the inside pit wall. So Jackson is actually back out on the racetrack right now. So Daniel Jackson now shockingly still on the lead lap somehow. Although he is begging for a caution at the next lap here. Otherwise he's going to go a lap down.
Yeah, it's going to be difficult. I mean, I've talked about it a lot. Being the driver on your own, being a car completely alone at Daytona, I mean, that's just a recipe for disaster, a recipe for losing time. It also gets really, really boring. This is the part of the race where I put on some music in a different window, and I just turn left and, you know, hope that a caution comes out, as you're saying, and hope that no one takes me out, because it is really boring to turn laps by yourself at Daytona.
I mean, heck, you don't really need to hot lap here by yourself, right? The only practice that's realistically going to do you any good at Daytona is going to be running in a pack. There's a reason why drivers, whenever in practice, whenever like several drivers come in and they have a crash on the racetrack because their pack falls apart, there's a reason why the guys that survive the mess, they don't stay out there, right? They come down that same lap because there's no point running by yourself.
Yeah, the effect that you get when you're in the draft and the chess game you have to play when you're in a pack like that, that is what you want to practice when you're practicing for race Daytona, not practicing the track itself. There's no braking, there's no lifting. It's completely flat out. It's not a track like Darlington where you want to run solo laps to practice your line, practice your braking points. The biggest, most impactful thing in race pace at Daytona is how you can play the different lines and how you can manage yourself in the pack and how you can push and get pushed by the drivers around you. So driving by yourself is just completely irrelevant, besides for your single lap in qualifying. But even that is very, very different.
Well, in the meantime, several drivers are set to keep duking this one out for the final 13 laps. There's Austin Norris, number 57. He is a lap down. And currently the driver leading this pack here is not actually leading the race. That would be Jonathan Dominics and Robert Tester side by side into turn one. And Tester started to drop back. Dominics has momentum on top with pole sitter Stephen Blevins.
Oh, and look at this. The 57, that's Austin Norris. Notice, he is not marked a lap down anymore. He's actually made his way through the pack to put himself on the lead lap. Well, I guess not anymore because the 45 passed him, but if he is ahead of this pack, if he is the car in point, he's actually on the lead lap, won't need the lucky dog, gets to race normally like that. So gonna be interesting to see how Austin Norris cooperates or doesn't cooperate with the drivers around him, especially because we're 13 to go, Nolan. Most likely a caution's not gonna come out. I mean, I guess probably that's completely false. Most likely a caution is going to come out, especially with these drivers ramping up. But if one does not come out, I should say, Norris will just kind of be in the way. And I'm going to be completely honest, if it's 2 to go and a caution hasn't come out and I'm Austin Norris, I'm pulling off the racetrack and I'm letting the leaders battle it out, because the last thing you want to do is be a lapped car in the middle of a battle for the lead at Daytona and get in the way of other drivers. That will only make people mad, and you're going to make enemies very quickly by doing that. So I just pull off the racetrack with 2 to go if I was the 57.
Up to the top side with the number 57 entry, trying to make a move happen. Jonathan Dominics down on the inside, while Austin Norris continues to battle, trying to see if he can take his lap back. Oh, a shot to the shorts there from Robert Tester. Tester wants to go. He says, look, if you're going to be up here with us, you better move, because we want to get up here and fight for the lead as well. We're looking for 10 laps to go, this time by Tester to the lead and Austin Norris to the lead lap.
And once again, you said it, he's put himself in the position he needs to. And also, now reading the different team names I've just gone through to see what teammates there are, Austin Norris is actually a teammate with the Kari King, right, who's not in the race right now, he's in the pit lane, but Danny Jackson and Stephen Blevins. So the 57 is teammates with the 51, who's currently in 4th place. They're in a call together and they're communicating as we speak. Does that, Nolan, have some play into why Austin Norris is still trying to push for this pace here?
The number 12 up on the high side of the racetrack, Adam Hoagland going to go another lap down after errors in pit road. So dropping now 4 laps down off of the pace. It'll be 9 to go at the line, and we are officially in crunch time. Nobody can afford to wait any longer, as Tester, Dominics, Dunning, and Blevins going to continue to fight this one out. 9 laps to go.
Okay, I've continued doing my research here. Guess what? The 45 of Jonathan Dominics and the 54 of Jamie Lee Dunning they are teammates as well. They are a part of Keystone Motorsports Group, and they will be racing together, seeing if they can connect in the final few crunch laps here to see if they can push one or another to the race lead. So look for the 51 to be working with the 57 and the 54 to be working with the 45 as these laps come to a close. And wow, big moment there for Stephen Blevins.
Terrence Murphy having a bit of a bad push to the back of the 51 car, nearly sent him sideways into turn 3. They are able to kind of gather it up here to the number 5 car. Again, seeking to push that 51 car clear, but it just isn't happening right now. Stephen Blevins going to be dropping back on the outside line. Austin Norris continues to make room for Tester and Co. down low. Jonathan Dominics is right behind. He's waiting in the wings. Jamie Dunny wants to go for a W. Up high, Blake Hullett trying to go to the point as he leaves the outside line now.
Yeah, he's side draft. He's got the 51 of Stephen Blevins behind. Could this be Blake Hullett's opportunity? Did he pick the right time? Did he pick the right moment? Right now it seems not, but if you can get some good bumps from the 51, even the 5 behind, this could be what pushes that 87 of Blake Hullett to the point if he's able to keep this up. But look at that, he's 7 cars deep and not looking to make up any spaces. So might just be too opportunistic, a move too early, and unfortunately not going to work out from there. But look at that, Nolan, the high line, non-existent, really.
It's a game of chicken. Everybody's moving to the inside to avoid losing time up top. Now the only question is, who's going to want to go up top? Because sooner or later, you have to go to the outside if you want to get around Robert Tester. You're not going to do that by just waiting around down here on the inside line, because he's been running that all race long, and he hasn't moved an inch. Several drivers still trying to make the outside work. Right now headed up by Blevins. But they will quickly drop back in line with now 6 laps to go.
Is so a single file race with 6 to go at Daytona is something I really haven't seen before, ever in a league race before. They're so often double file looking for moments, and here we go once again. Stephen Blevins trying to start something on the high side. These drivers are really struggling to find the side draft, struggling to get the bumps from behind. But now with Terrence Murphy, you remember he was up here earlier this race. He is a known and trusted good bumper. Can Terrence Murphy be the key to Stephen Blevins moving up to the point and starting to put, a battle to Tester? And here we go, more cars taking the outside line. Is this the moment, Nolan? Is it time that the outside line gets some momentum?
5 laps the distance. A yellow flag now will put us into overtime at the World Center of Racing. More lap traffic being swallowed up here. Those drivers being the number 12, Adam Hogland. And now the 107 being swallowed up as well. No, sorry, that is the 707 of Chris Gaxel up to the outside line. So Gaxel wants to go. He's still up to the top 5 and looking to make some ground. He's got a lap car of Hogland right behind him. He's got no problems pushing him to the point.
Hey, you mentioned it, Adam Hogland, as Stephen Blevins goes down back to the inside line. Adam Hogland and the 57 of Austin Norris, those 2 cars are a lap down. They're not fighting for the win here, but they can still be used by the guys on the lead lap to push them, get some draft, get pushed by even as well. So even though they're not on the lead lap fighting for the race win, they are still a vital tool that these guys that are fighting for the win can utilize, as we see Terrence Murphy hopping back up the top lane.
To the outside for the number 12. He's going to look to hang on. Robert Tester continuing to keep his ground, firmly situated in that number 1 spot of the field. Jonathan Dominics just behind him. He waits in the wings. Can Jonathan Dominics potentially make a run for himself? We will look for 3 laps to go. And Austin Norris still waiting for a chance to maybe get a lap back, as he has got 2.5 laps for, a lap and a half really, for a caution to come out before he will not be able to contend for a win.
Yeah, and this is about the point if I was Austin Norris, or maybe even Adam Longland, or Aaron Longland, sorry. Or it is Adam. Adam Hogland, this is about the point where I would back off and let the leaders fight their own race. Really just don't want to be interrupting what they're doing. You don't want to be getting in the way of anything, because if you're a lap car up in this battle, no matter what you do, you will anger somebody just by being there. You give this person draft, you make the people mad that you didn't give draft. You know, you give the other people draft, you make the first person mad that you didn't help them. And no matter what you do as a lap car, you're gonna anger someone, you're gonna make enemies the first race of the season. I would just pull off the racetrack right now to just say, I'm out of this. I don't want any part of this fight. You guys race for yourselves. I don't want to make an enemy this early on into the season. That's what I would do if I was Austin Norris here.
Two laps to go as we work our way down the back straightaway for the penultimate time and into the tri-oval, this time through. Robert Tester leads the way. White flag is out. 2.5 miles to go in the season opener. Stephen Blevins takes it 3 wide up on the outside line. The outside is finding his momentum one by one. Cars start to move up right now. Willie Smith at number 75. He leads the way up top. Jamie Dunning jumps up to the outside. He wants to make a run. He's up in a third. Austin Norris isn't yielding. He's going to run this out with the leaders right down to the checkered flag. Trying to help out Robert Tester. Jonathan Dominics looks high. Tester goes up to block. Robert Tester will block coming out of turn number 4. No room to get down to the inside. The 88 car tries to go for it. A bumper up high. A drag race. Dominic's closing, crashing, and Robert Tester holds on. Just barely takes the win. 3 thousandths of a second, Lucas. And Robert Tester wins the season opener.
Insane. I did not think that the .4004 could be beaten. It was just beaten right here today. Nolan, you have another race to throw in your top 100 closest victories of the year. And Robert Tester, your stage 2 winner, able to lead almost every lap of the third stage and the final lap of the race. Congratulations to the 22 car. You are in the playoffs.
I think that would actually be about number 5 or number 4 in all-time closest finishes here in all of 2025 on Green Flag TV. What a drive for Tester here this afternoon. Did absolutely everything perfectly in the final lap. Played the defensive move to perfection, and we will obviously look at everything that happened there in just a moment. But for now, he's going to look to burn it down here on the front straightaway. And deservedly so, as he is the winner and the first driver to lock it in after winning the second stage as well. So big points on the boards for the number 22.
Yeah, of course, I believe it's 50 points for the win, 10 points for the stage win. So, yeah, 60 points here in the regular season, and secures himself 6 playoff points as well. So huge start to the season, as he's gonna give the audience a really nice show here, burning it down into the wall. And I'll let you guys listen to the engine sounds.
I'll take a look back on what happened here coming out of the final corner, as it was pandemonium coming to the line. Watch as Blake Hulla got turned to the infield, and it was on deeper in the pack as, man, the 55 of John Sheen almost went up and over, coming to the stripe. And now take a look in on the finish here on this one, and at just how close this ended up being. Tester blocked high, then he blocked low. Dominic's committed to the outside line, and he closed as much as he possibly could. But at the end of the day, it would not be enough for Jonathan Dominics. He got a big push by Jamie Dunning coming to the line right about there, and well, you're gonna see it frame by frame as they came to the stripe. There's the start-finish line, and right about that is your margin of victory. It does not get much closer than that.
Yeah, that is crazy. And wow, that is a great view of it. I'll just let you guys take a look at that. Wow.
An incredibly close finish here this afternoon, and A very well-deserved finish at that for Robert Tester. Let's take a rundown here tonight of your official post-race results. It was a stellar way to kick off the season after, let's be honest, a bit of a rocky opener coming on down into the clash earlier just last week. Robert Tester by 3 thou. He'll take home the win this afternoon alongside Jonathan Dominics. Jamie Dunning comes home third. From there, Willie Smith back in fourth. Brian Matthews will finish his race off in fifth. Jamin Bernhard will be in sixth. Blake Hullen in seventh. Then Stephen Blythe at the pole sitter will finish eighth. Chris Gaxel at ninth. And John Sheen rounds out the top 10.
And then coming home in 11th is Jason Steptoe, Aaron Longworth in 12th. Just behind them, it's Daniel Molinari, Ron Milan in 15th, Samuel Longworth. And then coming home in 16th, Douglas Ivey. In 17th, Austin Norris. And 18th, Danny Jackson. And wrapping up your top 20, it's Keenan Kimber in 19th, and then TJ Ivey.
Back to 21st through 30th, it's Wayne Graves finishing 1 lap down. Ted Gamble is 1 down as well. Hogley finishes 4 down. Morton was 6 down from there. Terrence Murphy and Frank Chavez, the last cars to finish this race in 25th and 26th. Contenders that did not finish this race: Ethan Farless, Dean Howard, James Graney, Dave Shively, Riley Watts, Akari King Wright, Jonathan Siegfried, and Kevin Haas. Tough break for King Wright in particular, who's going to have quite the journey ahead of them to fight his way into the main round of the playoffs here. Started the season off on the back foot. Well, let's take a rundown now. We'll talk to the top 3 drivers at the end of the night. Tester currently not available for comment, so we'll start from the back and work our way forward. We'll start things off with Blake Hullet here, or at least we will start things out, with Jamie Dunning here this afternoon, coming home number 3 this afternoon. And Jamie, I tell you what, a stellar race for you here this afternoon. You come home third. You gave quite the shot there to Dominic to try and make it happen at the end. Just didn't have it in you, but hey, you took a big finish at the Clash and another big finish here with a podium here at Daytona. How does it feel?
It feels great. I mean, to start off, the season P3, and I believe a stage 1 win and finishing second in stage 2, should be a good points race for me and a good points race for, team Keystone Racing Group or Motorsports Group. Jonathan Dominics, the 45 car, is my teammate, and that's the reason why I gave him that shot at the end of the race to hopefully get him the win, but it was too close to call, and, a good race by Robert at the end.
Overall, you look at how this race kind of panned out for you, and I think all things considered, this race, it could have gone better, could have gone worse, but like you say, a lot of big points here to kick off the championship. Do you have aspirations to go for the main title here this season?
Always. I mean, that's the goal, and everybody that joins a league race is to go for that championship. And starting out this way right now is, a big plus for me. We'll see how the rest of the season goes. I have some tracks that I'm not good at and some tracks that I'm really good at.
Typically, we'll either swing out west to a track like Phoenix or Vegas for race 2, or up to Georgia to the Echo Park Speedway. This time, though, it's a trip up to Philadelphia. A bit of an unusual track to usually run to, right? Dover Speedway, not known for being race 2 on many people's schedules. What's going to be your take as we go to the Boston Mile for round 2?
My take is to start in the front and stay up there. Dover is a very tight track on the exit of 4 and 2. Just try to keep the car clean with this league not having a fast repair. That's going to be the main goal all season long for everybody.
All right, we'll wish you the best of luck when we go racing once again next week. Congratulations on taking home number 3, and we'll see you next week in Delaware.
Thanks, Nolan.
Jamie Dunning comes home number 3 this afternoon. We'll bring on up Jonathan Dominics, the driver that finishes runner-up by just 3 thousandths of a second. Lucas, you're standing by with number 2.
Yes, welcome, Jonathan Dominics. We just finished talking with your teammate. So close, the margin of victory, 0.003. Talk us through your thoughts on that one.
Yeah, it was definitely nervous coming to the line there. If I moved up a little bit earlier, might have had a better shot at getting first. But the bump coming from the 54 at the end was huge and just made that super close.
Yeah, it was a really close ending. Of course, you talk about the 54, Jamie Lee Dunning, really helping you with that final bump. And, you two, you're in the call together. What was your kind of mentality coming to those, 5 to go, 4 to go? How did you guys try to link up, and how did you guys know that you're going to work together on that last lap?
Yeah, so he was kind of leading the strategy a little bit. He was the one that told me to leg back a little bit on the white flag and try to go up into 3. But unfortunately, he went up because the outside line got a run, and I just didn't go up in time with him. But the outside line lagged back a little bit, which allowed me to come up to the top at the very end, and just wasn't there. I think, what was it, 0.003?
Yep.
Yeah, super close. But happy, we got both Keystone cars on the podium, so happy with that.
Yeah, of course, 2-3 for the Keystone Motorsports Group. And then looking ahead to Dover, how do you feel about the track? You like it? You hate it? You love it? What's your thoughts on it?
I don't mind Dover too much. I do pretty good at Dover, so I'm looking forward. See what we can make out there.
All right. Well, thank you so much for talking with us, Jonathan.
Thank you.
All right. And Nolan, I believe you have the pleasure of talking with our race winner, that number 22 machine, Robert Tester.
I sure do. The driver that comes home number 1 here at the end of the night. And Robert, you led pretty much the entirety of the second half of the race. You won the second stage on lap 55, and then you walk it off with a 0.003 of a second win. You went up to a block. You went down to make sure you couldn't get down to the inside line as well. When did you know that it was time to jump up high there coming off of turn 4?
Oh, man, I just seen that they had a run coming. Looked like it was like 2 or 3 Toyotas up top. I seen it had a run coming. I wanted to cut it off and try to make the car as wide as possible, and it seemed to work. But I thought I went down to the low line too early, and I thought they were just going to drag by me. But no, that wasn't the case. I held on. It was close.
Overall, a stellar outing for you. Take bonus points for leading the most laps. You take top points as well in terms of the race and stage 2 position. You take 6 playoff points home with you at the end of the night, and you lock yourself into the playoffs. I think that's a very critical thing here, right? You lock yourself in on just race number 1 here this afternoon. Kind of tell us, does this change how you're going to approach the rest of the next 11 races in the regular series season?
Yeah, it kind of does to me. Kind of gives me like more of a relaxed state instead of being pressured into either trying to point in or getting a win later on at a track that I'm not, good at. But just knocking it out, first race of the season, it's a long season, really is. It's like a boulder being lifted off your shoulders.
Speaking of tracks that perhaps not the best at, obviously Dover Motor Speedway comes up next, round number 2. It is not the first track a lot of people would speak to if we asked what would be your top 5 racetracks. Usually it doesn't even make the top 10 for quite a few drivers. What's your take of the Monster Mile as we go up to Delaware next week?
Oh, man, I love it. I love how it races. I think it's a blast. How you got to dive in the entry and the exit, like the corners. I think it's definitely a Monster Mile track for sure, but I love it.
Well, we'll wish you the best of luck then next week. Who knows? Maybe we'll score some more playoff points over there as well. And we'll see you once again when we go racing, next week in Delaware.
Oh, yeah. Thank y'all. Hopefully we can get at least 1 or 2 more points. But thank you, guys.
Robert Tester comes home number 1 here this afternoon. And, Lucas, that is going to be it then for our post-race interviews. Overall, a stellar way to kick off the championship, right? An extremely solid race all around. I have to say, I think this league can be very proud of that as an opening race. Lots of green flag action, lots of strategy came into play. A fantastic green flag finish that didn't go to overtime and ended with a clean finish among the leaders as well. This race, if this is how the rest of the season is going to be like, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great starting point. You think about only 1 caution that was thrown, not because of a stage. Really good, showing that these guys can drive safely. Of course, North Wilkesboro wasn't the same story, but it's a track like North Wilkesboro. It's going to be chaotic. It's going to be caution-filled. But around here, the racing was great. The action was great. The green flag pit stops were nailed by most of the drivers. Really shows that here at ZTRL, these guys are at the top of the game, and these guys are fighting for the championship, and they're going to drive aggressive, but also do it in a safe manner.
Well, when we go racing next on up on Green Flag TV, it is going to be tomorrow night. That'll be at the Iowa Speedway for the SRA Gen 4 Series. That and much more coming up here on Green Flag TV. The Blaze Motors Argus is down at Darlington here on Sunday night. The Mid-Atlantic Racing Series will take to the Homestead Miami Speedway on Tuesday alongside the OMSRL Gold Series at Atlanta Motor Speedway. The Premier Sim Racing Outlap Motorsports Truck Series will be out at Chicago and alongside the Highline Dodcast Collectible Speed Cup Series at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. And then the Zero Torque Racing League takes back to the Monster Mile there on Friday night. If you want to find out more about who we are, what we can offer you, check us out today at www.greenflagtv.com. What a way to kick off the season. My name is Little Rebel alongside Lucas Moody. If this championship is only going to pick up from here, this is not going to be a series you're going to want to miss here every Friday night on Green Flag TV. We'll see you all when we go racing next week at the Monster Mile.
Peace.